regarding the question of ownership. The rain on the tin roof of the Washhouse runs off the backside, hitting a slab from the maple that was taken down by a professional crew earlier this year. The Washhouse had a thick cement floor until two little girls smashed it into pieces with a sledgehammer and stacked the irregular chunks just outside the door. The painter comes year after year and assembles her easel to reproduce the details of this structure. She can't paint fast enough because each season further weathers the boards. Last year, entering the Washhouse, there was a pile of fine dirt as tall as our knees. It took a live trap to know for sure that this was the work of a groundhog. We relocated it 6 miles away. If you look at the outside of the shed, you don't know what is going on inside. If you look at the inside of the shed, you don't know what is going on below it. If you look below it, you still don't know the history of this land, the way this soil didn't even start out here, but was carried in the skirt of the wind. There is a kind of enlightenment to be found in staring at one thing, and somehow by doing so, maybe you can come to know about the baby buried in the yard, or about the woman who camped alone by the fire ring and heard voices all night. Maybe you can even come to know about the osprey who hunts the pond, using positioning to obscure its own shadow warning from the fish. The present just keeps heaping itself onto the past. So many layers of wallpaper, so many decades of flooring, carpet over linoleum over wood. When we add our own part, we write messages inside of the walls. During the renovation, countless people asked why we didn't just bulldoze the place, much like others asked years earlier why anybody would sell good farmland to the state. The barn here is not suited to modern equipment, but we haven't torn it down. Not even for the good money people say they will pay for the ancient boards. I pay the taxes every year on this property, but I am still mystified how a person can own property. There are philosophers who believe we only rightfully own what we produce, that owning land is a form of theft. And Emerson declared, "The landscape belongs to the person who looks at it." I don't understand how it could be that I can sell a walnut tree to a tree buyer. How can a person own a tree? Something time-rooted in this drifted soil. Consider how this tree began here long before I was born in the delivery room of a military hospital in a faraway state. How this tree was already finding purchase in the lush soil. The name on the title has changed 3 times since then. Because it is my name on the paper at this point in history, I could sell all of the trees. I could girdle or fell or burn the trees. I could bulldoze these hills and this house and this barn. I could sell the dirt by the truckload. For $1,000 a year in property taxes, I can trap the groundhogs, make a junkyard out of the barnyard by stacking old cars and ruined tires and travel trailers that have seen better days. I could farm it, or I could charge someone money so that they can farm it, because somehow in the twist of history, this became temporarily mine. But I can't stop thinking about what the painter's dad said. Everyone has to have some place to be. So if you throw an imaginary grid over all of the land that exists and print plat maps that show who owns which piece, and you bind those maps into books that are reprinted year after year, what happens to the people whose names are not in that book?